After starting to play Star Citizen in Invictus 2952, I'm still a relative noob to the game, so this year's CitizenCon was my first. I didn't really know what to expect, save for the titles and brief descriptions of each segment listed on the RSI website in the weeks prior. In all honesty, I was intrigued by what was being promised, but nothing particularly jumped out at me as something I was specifically excited for. By the end of the presentation, I was definitely excited, and by one of the segments I had not really taken too much notice of in advance. The new underground section gave us a look at changes coming to what we as players call bunkers. This set of changes, which are already well underway and hopefully should be seen in the next year or so, could for me revolutionise Star Citizen. There is so much potential in these newly designed facilities that could bring into play many of the current and proposed gameplay loops, mechanics and features, and if done right could very much serve to elevate Star Citizen from a game about spaceships to a game about the wider experience of space exploration. I'm very much looking forward to what these become, and I really hope that the team at CIG have already thought about the ideas that I'm about to present to you. Currently, bunkers are, well, repetitive and actually quite basic. After doing some research, I've discovered there are 12 types of contracts that take place in these locations. They include simple collection of packages, defending the site against waves of Ninetales foot soldiers, clearing the bunkers of illegal occupants, and even destroying a sizable cache of illegal drugs, often by punching the individual packages to dust. I haven't tried all the contract types yet, so I can't comment on the skill levels required, but those I have tried can be completed pretty much by anyone, often solo, although I do understand that some are dynamic and require more than one player. The layout of the bunkers is also very basic, laid out over 2 floors. Sometimes the elevator takes you to the upper floor, sometimes to the lower, and how the rooms inside are arranged varies, but they're all plug and play layouts with no surprises. Once you understand how one bunker is designed, there's no mystery to the navigation and no sense that you might walk around the corner and see something new. For me, that reduces the tension, especially as the enemies spawn from specific locations and the AI is still not the most intelligent. To be completely honest, anytime I get shot, it's usually because I've gotten a bit too cocky, or an enemy has teleported behind me without me noticing. Or worse, I've wandered in the path of one of my teammates just as they're taking their shots. Now, in the CitizenCon presentation, we were told that the current bunkers were never intended to be the final design. Deadlines were set that they could only meet by putting forward what we have today, but they have continued to work on the underground facility since, and oh my goodness, what they are coming up with nearly blew my mind. Before I go into that though, I want to give you an idea of what my hopes are for Star Citizen. I don't just want a space exploration game where the majority of your playtime is flying from A to B or fighting other ships for an amount of UEC. I also don't want another No Man's Sky. I have a lot of love for that game, but for me both the planet side and interstellar aspects of the game aren't completely fulfilling. Star Citizen is already moving in a great direction in terms of what goes on in space, but for me the ground action leaves me underwhelmed. Planets and moons just feel a little bit too empty. Now, I know the Stanton system has no natural inhabitants yet, and no indigenous intelligent life forms, so humanity has only peppered a few bases here and there, and one big city on each planet. But I do feel like there could be more going on. There are definitely plans that will help with this, not least of all the player base building, and I do feel like these bunkers plans will also go some way to fulfilling my hopes. There will be small, medium and large size facilities. Although they didn't specify it, my guess is that our current bunkers are the small facilities and are probably here to stay in some form. The ones they showcase in the presentation are the medium ones, and these alone are significantly more substantial. And if these are the mediums, I can only begin to imagine what a large facility is going to look like. Now, I should note that Ian Leland's did state that this is what a medium facility might look like. Everything is just concept at the moment and nothing has been approved, but I love the level of ambition being displayed. The facilities may have the potential to serve different purposes: data handling, mining, refining and so on. The design inside each will have a direct impact on the layout and room types available, and presumably This will also impact the kind of contracts that can take place in each. It's this side of things that I really want to focus on. Let's consider collection and delivery missions. Rather than just picking up nondescript boxes to drop off at another UGF, imagine being hired to collect raw materials to take to a refinery, or even bringing the raw materials to the facility to refine them and then take them away to a buyer or manufacturing location. This could open up the prospect of finally adding contracts that involve mining. You could be taking your prospector or mole to Lyria or the Aran asteroid field, collecting a certain minimum amount of quantanium, and then taking it to a UGF focused on refining, with maybe an advanced or even secret technique that refines the material much faster than we normally would do. Once refined, we then have to ship the material to that system's TDD, with a bonus paid for time completion or excess materials processed. You could then have a counter contract for mercs and pirates to intercept the player or players carrying out the mining and transporting, or to sabotage the facility to prevent completion in a timely manner. If the facility was focused on intelligence and data, you could have a contract that finally makes use of the Mercury Star Runner's main purpose, the gathering and dealing in information. Or you could even be sent by the administrator from one facility to another run by a competing organisation in an industrial espionage type contract where you have to hack and gather as much information as possible, then run it back to the original hirer. As for FPS, there could be a huge variety of PvP and PvE contracts. Some could be what we already have but spread throughout the facility. The presentation stated that part of the designs is to provide the potential for FPS events at the landing pads and in the tunnels throughout the facility. And it doesn't always have to be the Ninetales. With the future prospect of fauna being added, I can just imagine some subterranean species beginning to spread throughout, and you and your friends are hired to come in and either collect and remove them, or even exterminate them. I particularly like the prospect of combining two of the other features showcased in this CitizenCon. Investigation contracts within the underground facilities could be to counter some form of non-player espionage, or figure out why machinery has broken or certain areas have gone dark. The power systems can also come into play, and you could be hired as a mechanic or engineer to repair and replace components. One of my friends, Artemis Eternal, suggested while we were approaching a bunker a few weeks ago that it would make a lot of sense for the facilities to have better external defences. These could include lookout posts at intervals at a certain distance out from the bunker, and more anti-vehicle personnel and air guns and turrets, which can be controlled by players, similar to what we see at Jumptown but on a bigger scale. They could open up contracts to attack the UBFs from the air or the ground, and the opposing defending contracts, which then create a full-on PvP battle that covers multiple stages. We know we will already be able to have our own bases, but what if there were certain facilities where you could have player or organisation control over them, similar to how New World has implemented faction control over regions? I actually believe these new bunkers could provide a whole new type of dynamic event contract hybrid, stringing together a number of different gameplay loops to provide a longer type of contract that could encourage a player to develop and use multiple skills. It could even have an MMO dungeon type idea, where you need to have 2 to 4 players working together on different aspects of the contract in order to complete the whole. That is just a small sample of the ideas that I have had running through my head since I saw the new Underground presentation in CitizenCon. I could go on for ages, but instead I'd like to hand it over to you. What would you like to see implemented to make the best use of the new facilities? Let me know in the chat below. As a side note, I would also like to see space stations incorporate some of these aspects of gameplay as well, to give more depth and purpose to those spaces than simply a safe haven and place to trade. I hope I've given you some food for thought, and I also hope you've enjoyed my first attempt at a Star Citizen opinion piece. If you have, please remember to like and subscribe. I'm still new to this and learning new skills with each video, and your feedback is genuinely appreciated. Videos will now be one every week for 4 weeks, followed by a week's break, and each week will be a different type of Star Citizen based content, so make sure you turn on notifications to be alerted when each video is published. And of course, if you're not yet playing Star Citizen, what are you waiting for? Go over to the Robert Space Industries website and create your account. And don't forget to use my referral code to receive 5,000 UEC to spend on items in the game store. My code is on screen now, and there's a link in the description which should automatically populate the code on the account creation screen. As well as YouTube, I stream 2 nights a week on Twitch, and you can also find me on Twitter and Instagram. The handle for all is @JediAndyTV. For now, good luck in the verse. I'll see you next time.